welcome back from break. Welcome to the last session of today's program. I'm pleased to welcome Judith Helfman, who will be discussing about World Relief Bicycle and how they're helping to achieve SDGs. I'm really curious to know about that. I'm sure our audience as well. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Looking forward to.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our final session for day number 1 of the European Development Days in 2022. Really, the past 25 years have been the biggest game changer in reducing poverty in human history. But surprisingly enough, it's mainly girls and women that are still affected by poverty, and it's still nearly a billion people that are threatened being left behind. So that's still quite a bit, even though all of us and all of you did such great work during the past 25 years. So what is the problem behind it? The problem behind is that it's mainly the girls and women in rural areas that are left behind, and they are far away from any paved road, unable to access the key issues that you need to develop and to reduce your poverty. So there would be education, healthcare, markets, agricultural outreach, and all other government services that will help you to advance in your life. So we do believe that distance is really often and many times the main barrier that keeps you and keeps millions of people from accessing the resources they need to have the chance to live up to their full potential. Mobilizing people in rural regions can therefore be the game changer in reaching the SDGs. And that's why we have a special guest here. You'll find out about him or her later. Please welcome the Buffalo Bike. So, when we're talking about mobility and mobilizing, it was really the World Bicycle Relief with this very bike that I met 10 years ago for the first time. And I thought, okay, yeah, they're working with bikes, okay. What do they do? Why is it so important? And then it sort of clicked and I realized, yes, it's so very easy at the end of the day and it makes so much sense, because if I get faster from A to B and B to A and back home and everything, and even safely because I'm fast on the road or no road, then it just improves my life because it saves time. It helps me to carry stuff a lot easier. So I'm probably not exaggerating when I'm saying that mobility might really be one of the big but overlooked points and aspects in a development program planning. Today we're going to look at this neglected but crucial elements when we're looking to reach the SDGs. So if you look at this bike, I suppose I'm not telling you any surprising news that with that you can carry about 5 times what you could if you were only walking, plus you're going to be only traveling a quarter of the time. So think of what you can do instead of running back and forth 5 times to get your stuff to the market. You can just use a bike and be a lot faster. We would like to get you a little bit active before we getting into the information and the representation and presentation of a couple of programs we have. So the big question is, what do you, all of you, use your bicycles for? I guess in Europe and maybe also the States, it has been the peloton during Corona that was most used for the cycling at home. But let's have a look. What do you use your bicycle for? I think we're giving you a minute to have a look at it. And it's here, it's whether we're meeting you back at home or in your office, whatever time zone you might be in. And hopefully you have a bike. So, what about you two? What do you use your bike for?
Can you?
Winnie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just while we're waiting, we might just as well find out.
For leisure, I guess.
For leisure?
For leisure, just for
leisure.
fitness, yeah.
Leisure and fitness, okay. Actually, I go to work with my bike. That's all I do. Okay, do we have answers already? I know, it's all about scanning the QR code and then typing in your answers. Don't be afraid, there's no right and wrong. I don't know, Joanna, can we have the results? Can we close the poll? Ah, okay, there we go. So it's having fun, pick up my kids, school, university, no sea friends, no groceries, no transport stuff. Okay, so it's having fun, just like you said here, very representative. Thank you very much. Thank you all of you for participating. So we also got quite a few suggestions on what we can do with our bikes. So we looked at one side of it, and now we're going to have a look at what we can do with bikes, or what people do with bikes in low-income countries. And as I said before, it's quite obvious that especially this bike is quite a means of transportation. So that was zero. Does it not work? More up? Okay. Is it better? Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. So, how to use a bike or what to use a bike for. So really, the data that we have, they show that a high-quality bike in a developing rural area is a really powerful cross-cutting intervention that will change things immediately. You have better access to health, to healthcare, to the livelihood, to education. You have better access to our market, and with this bike anyway. Now, let's have a look into what board bicycle relief really does on the ground. So we're going to have a look into Zambia and projects that are happening there. Can we have the video, please?
Every morning, the pulse of life begins in Palabana. We work early to prepare for school. We milk our cows, we open shop. But out here, there are no school buses, no paved roads, no highways. In remote towns around the world, distance is a barrier, time an enemy. But Palabana is a community on the move. Here we have bicycles, strong, reliable bicycles. Mary used to rise before the sun and walk 5 miles to school. Now she pedals. Mary dreams of becoming a nurse. Joel travels 50 miles to purchase steel. With his bicycle, he can carry 220 pounds. Joel literally strengthens his community. Georgina is a 68-year-old dairy farmer. With a bicycle, her farm delivers twice as much milk to the dairy co-op 8 miles away. Out here, bicycles build connections between students and their dreams, craftsmen and their customers, farmers and their futures.
I provide fresh milk.
I help my family.
I treat the sick.
I grow my business.
I ride to school.
I carry water.
I care for the children.
We are Palabana.
We are Palabana.
We are Palabana. And we are on the move. Around the world, communities like Palabana are struggling to move forward. but a simple bicycle can change everything.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm quite sure that after these impressions from Palabama, it's quite obvious why after our first meeting 10 years ago with World Bicycle Relief, we never lost contact again because it's just an awesome cause and organization. Now, let's move on to our guests here tonight. So we have two here in person, and then Patrick will be joining us later. He's still in Zambia doing the work for all of us. Please welcome Winnie with me. Winnie is originally from Kenya, but now working in South Africa, basically on the whole of Sub-Sahara Africa for World Bicycle Relief, especially in research and evaluation as a manager. Welcome.
Thank you, Judith.
So we now looked into the projects and everything, but can you just let us know in a nutshell, what does World Bicycle Relief really do?
Thank you, Judith. I think the Palabana video is a great illustrator of exactly what the World Bicycle Relief does. So we are a non-profit organization working in the transportation and mobility sector. Our focus is on connecting rural communities, areas which are facing transportation challenges and rural exclusion because of lack of access to services, to sources of livelihoods, to markets, and to education facilities as well. So our focus is working with rural communities that are facing this transportation occlusions, transportation marginalization. We provide the Buffalo bicycle, as you have very well illustrated, and that is the Buffalo, a very robust, durable, high-quality bicycle built for the tough terrains of many rural areas in Africa. Currently, we are operating in 5 countries for our program activities so that we provide this bicycle to people who need to confront this distance challenge. And in Southern Africa, we are in Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Malawi. In Eastern Africa, we are in Kenya. And in Latin America, we are also in Colombia. What we do in these countries as part of our programs is to provide the Buffalo bicycles, as I mentioned, to those people who are facing the distance challenges and cannot access basic services, health, education, access markets to take their farm produce, to access sources of livelihoods and so forth. So we take a very holistic approach towards communities, and I think the Palabana video, it really is a great illustrator of that. When you look at the many ways in which people use bicycles, from one person carrying milk to the other using it to carry this huge steel frames. And that's exactly the approach we take. We want to connect people in different sectors, from health to education to livelihoods. We even have people who work in the environment sectors in Zambia and Zimbabwe who we give bicycles to so that they can participate in conservation efforts within their communities. So we take a very holistic approach towards working with communities and providing the bicycle. Our focus is again, as I mentioned, in rural areas, but we also focus on providing bicycles to women and girls in particular because they are disproportionately affected by poverty and inequality and social and transportation exclusion.
Thank you very much, Winnie. And I believe the bike really is a holistic approach by itself, because my daughters asked me, why don't they have school buses? But then I said, is a school bus going to transport milk? No, it's not. It will not. So I think the bike shows clearly that, we looked at the areas here. You can see build roads and buy buses and cars and everything would take years and years and years. And with those bikes, everybody can be served and everybody can use them. For whether you want to transport kids' milk or chicken or whatever you have. So that's great. But you're not just doing the projects as an NGO, as a non-for-profit, but you're also selling the Buffalo bikes. Is that right?
Yeah, that is absolutely correct. So, I mean, I started by talking about the program, the philanthropic aspects of World Bicycle Relief, where we target people who do not have physical and economic access to bicycles, so they cannot, to transportation in general, so they cannot access buses and bicycles and so forth because they cannot afford it, or either because it's not available, in most cases because they cannot afford it. But we also have the social enterprise aspect of the World Bicycle Relief, where we do sell bicycles to those who can afford it. So in our countries of operations, in the 5 countries that we have at the moment, we have nearly 60 shops where individuals who can afford the bicycle can actually walk into the shop and purchase a Buffalo bicycle. And what we found is that the bicycle is famous in our communities, in our countries of operation, because of the its durability, its robustness, its high quality, it's very reliable bicycle, as some of our participants have told us many times over and over again. And so it's not unusual to find people walk into a Buffalo shop to purchase a bicycle. But these are people who can afford it, as I mentioned. But our sales, bicycle sales, and the demand for the Buffalo bicycle extends beyond the individual. And we have institutional buyers, organizations working in the development sector who, like you, who are servicing communities in various ways, from education to health to community development. And these organizations purchase the Buffalo bicycle for their community participants, for their volunteers, and so forth. Some of the key examples include UNICEF, which up to date has purchased nearly 40,000 bicycles from World Bicycle Relief. And you can see very nicely Buffalo bicycle blue with the blue colors of UNICEF on your display. And other organizations include World Vision. We've got the Food and Agriculture Organization in Malawi, which just recently purchased nearly 15,000 bicycles for lead farmers and agricultural extension workers. We've got Care and Save the Children. So we've got a range of institutional buyers that purchase bicycles from World Bicycle Relief. And important to also note is that our buyers, institutional buyers, don't just come from the countries where we run programs. They come from a range of other countries across Africa. So we've built this partnership, and we've become quite well known within the development sector for providing this very robust and durable bicycle.
Great, thank you very much, Winnie. I like the blue, to be honest, even though the black is very trendy too. It's a great bike anyway. I was even allowed to ride it once. And it's completely locally assembled. So wherever, is that right? Yeah, wherever you use it, wherever you sell it, that's where it's assembled.
Yes, absolutely. All the bicycles are, the production happens outside our countries of operations, but the assembly actually does happen within our countries of operation. And, one thing to also highlight as part of this is, we believe very much in creating a bicycle ecosystem that is sustainable. So in our countries of operation, in our communities where we've supplied the Buffalo bicycle, we not only ensure the continuous supply of spare parts through our shops, but we also run a mechanic training program where we train mechanics to undertake preventative maintenance, maintain bicycles when they're broken, and so forth. So to date, we have trained more than 2,500 mechanics across our countries of operation. So we really do believe in, when we go into a community and we provide bicycles, it's not just about giving the bicycles and leaving the bicycles and forgetting about the community. It's a collaboration where we work with that community to implement the program. But beyond that, we also ensure that there's a sustainable bike ecosystem that supports the provision of spare parts and access to mechanics.
And it creates extra jobs with the mechanics, with the sellers and everything.
Absolutely. Yeah. The community does pay the mechanics to undertake preventive maintenance. So we have created jobs in that respect. And it's very, when we are in our countries of operation, I was recently in Malawi, and it's just incredible that even existing mechanics want to be part of the mechanic training program at WBR. They want to learn the skills and they want to be included in it, because they realize, once we go into a community, we distribute 800, 900, 1,000 bicycles. All those bicycles need maintenance at some point. So definitely creating employment for those mechanics. Yeah.
It's great. Winnie, I could listen to you all night, but we also have quite a bit of evidence behind what you're doing. You know, we're not just showing you the projects, but we have Lawrence here with us, Lawrence Banda, who's working for World Bicycle Relief in Zambia, and he has all the figures and all the data, and he knows everything about what happens to the bikes and what happens to the community. And now you were involved in a study that really looked at how bikes impact girls' school outcomes. Lawrence, tell us more about it. What was behind it? I think it's called BEEP. What's BEEP about?
Thanks. So BEEP is one of our key social interventions, and it stands for Bicycles for Education Empowerment Program. We have been implementing this program in Zambia for more than 10 years. But of course, we are also implementing it in other countries. We are in Kenya, we are in Malawi, we are in Zimbabwe, and we are in Colombia. So basically, this is a transportation-centered education program where we provide bicycles to school-going children in rural areas, those that are faced with the challenge of walking long distances to school. And the goal is to contribute to improved education outcome among children in rural areas. So the program is mainly focused on girls. In fact, we require that 70% of the program participants are girls. You may be aware of some of the differing realities and challenges that girls in our rural areas face. For example, they are required to do most of the domestic work at home before they go to school. And even when they come back from school, you can talk about sweeping, cooking, looking after their younger siblings, going to fetch water, going to look for firewood. You can name them. But even as they walk to school, they also face other safety issues. They may be harassed by the boys, and so they're less likely to feel safe as they travel to school when you compare to the boys. So that's the reason why we want to focus more on the girl child. So the program is, as Winnie mentioned, is community-led. In each community, in each program site, we set up a committee, and that committee is formed by the community, and they are generally responsible for the oversight of the program, from the identification of participants, monitoring how the bicycles are being used, sharing some of the reports, and so on. So it's really community-owned. And also we train field mechanics, as we mentioned again. So these field mechanics provide repair and maintenance services to the bicycles in that community. And in addition to that, we set up the supply chain for spare parts, so that the participants are able to have easy access to spare parts. And that has been very, very critical to the sustainability of this program. Yeah. So in the nutshell, that's about our education program.
That's BEEP in a nutshell. But you also have a second study that was conducted by IPA, so Innovation for Poverty Action. What was that about? Because you said this afternoon when we spoke, you said that the girls also felt empowered. It's one of those buzzwords, but what was behind it? I think you looked at that in the study as well.
Yeah. So in 2017, we conducted a robust external evaluation. It was a randomized controlled study, and we did it with Innovations for Poverty Action, IPA. So the study is called Wheels of Change, and it looked at assessing the impact of the program on girls' education and also on empowerment. It was done on a cohort of 2,400 girls in about 100 schools in southern Zambia. And the results of this study were very interesting. For example, it showed that absenteeism among girls with bicycles reduced by almost 30%. And also punctuality increased by 66%. And in addition to that, it showed that girls with bicycles saved more than 1 hour of commute time to school per day. Okay, and also the follow-up data collection that we collected on the retention of these girls in schools showed that girls with bicycles were almost 20% less likely to drop out of school. So I think you can see how the bicycle can change the lives of girls as it relates to their education.
Great. Thank you so much, Lawrence, for also putting some figures to the story, because I think it's really important, even more nowadays, that would really show the impact that our projects and our programs have. Just like we said, the word empowered, what do you mean at the end of the day by empowered? And punctuality is also, a very open word, but at the end of the day, it just means the girls are not missing any of the class. And if you continuously are 1 hour late in the morning, or have to leave early in the afternoon, or you're missing a whole day, you're always going to be last in class. And come on, who is willing to go to school? Walking and being last in class is not really what makes you want to learn, even though you might know that it's important for your future. So great, thank you very much. Maybe we can now switch over to Zambia and hope that Patrick is here with us. Because, yes, you are. Hello, welcome, Patrick Chikomba. You're working with GIZ, so you're actually my colleague in Zambia, so welcome to you. And you're working with a project that's called FANZER. So we have all the good abbreviations tonight. What does FANZER stay for, and what does it have to do with our wonderful Buffalo bikes?
Thank you, Judith. I hope you can get me clearly.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So FANZER project, it's an acronym that stands for Food and Nutrition Security Enhanced Resilience, which is a GIZ project, global project, which is being implemented here in Zambia in 2 provinces, that is the Eastern and Luapula province, on behalf of the German government, supporting the Zambian government implementing 1,000 most critical days, a nutritional program on behalf of the German Federal Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development, BMZ. So the main objective of the project is to improve the nutritional status, the nutritional situation of women, especially women of reproductive age and children under 2 in the rural areas. So you may wonder, probably our target, the target of the project is about more than 100,000 women of reproductive age and 64,000 children. Now, for the project to reach out to our targets, we have in the communities the nutrition volunteers and also the volunteers called lead farmers. The job of these volunteers, community volunteers, is to reach out to the women of reproductive age and also children with nutrition counseling and also with trainings on agricultural practices that will promote the nutritional status at household level. We've got more than 9,000 intermediaries. These are volunteers. And you may wonder how the bicycle is coming into the picture on this one. I think Judith also mentioned on how the bicycle is working and improving the lives in different sectors. So these intermediaries and volunteers, they have to cover a distance for them to reach the project beneficiaries. So we have about more than 8,000 bicycles which have been distributed in order for these volunteers to reach out to a very huge group with the lessons, the trainings, and the counseling. So they have to move about, on average, 10 kilometers. So like Winnie mentioned, there's a challenge of a distance. So for them to travel, they have to use something. And this something that is cheap, suitable to the environment, durable enough, are bicycles. So they have to move with the bicycles to reach these households, and also for them to access the market to sell even their extra products of what they get from the farm. So really, the bicycle is doing wonders because these are the key volunteers in the community to reach to the households. It has improved their mobility, which has led to high reach of our beneficiaries who stay in different and far places. And also it has helped the project in terms of monitoring, because we have our communities who can move in different places, covering some covering a long distance, in order to see that the implementation of the project is going on. So really, the bicycles are doing wonders in reaching our targets. Without the bicycles, I feel it's very difficult to reach the households who are in very poor nutritional situation in the households, and also the children.
Great. Thank you so much for that example. I think it's good to see that it's not only, I'm not going to say not just education, but it's a lot more than what we might have thought in the beginning, what can be done with the bicycles. So this is good for nutrition, for health, and also, as we said before many times, all other sectors. But talking about excuse me, talking about other sectors, maybe you can also add some more with the slides now on the figures, or have you already finished with that? It shows again the groups that are working in your project, the people with the bikes. And is it uniforms for your volunteers, everything in orange? Patrick, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm still with you. So yes, these are T-shirts that identifies our intermediaries, because there are different intermediaries in the communities, different community volunteers. So these are more for identification, and also to send the nutritional message that we are trying to put across as a FANSA project. On the T-shirts there are some labels. It may not be that very clear on your screen, but there are labels there showing the many essence of the message on the T-shirts.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And with that orange, I'm sure people on their bikes can be seen from very far away, so it's clear somebody's coming to visit us, and that's always the good news, I think. Winnie, actually, I would like to come back to you. We've seen two examples now, but I'm quite sure if I came up with a project to you now to say, listen, I'm doing this and that in the field, don't you think mobilizing could be a good answer to that? Are you the right person then to approach and to think about what we can do with bicycles?
Absolutely. I mean, we've distributed bicycles in quite a number of sectors, and I mentioned earlier we are in environment. We've distributed bicycles to health, to agriculture through GIZ, and to education. A very big part of our programs is around education. So there are so many ways in which bicycles can be used by organizations working in the development sector, from health to education and so forth. But I think I'll just, to highlight, to provide more info, I can briefly discuss the health sector.
Yes, please.
And we've between over the last 1 year, we've distributed about 900 bicycles to community health volunteers in 4 countries: Zambia, Zimbabwe, Malawi, as well as Kenya. So these are community health volunteers are a really crucial part of the health sector, taking the health messaging to households, providing counseling on health issues, including HIV. And these are people who really have to travel very long distances. In fact, while we were speaking to some health workers last year, what they mentioned as a key challenge was transportation and mobility and physical fatigue. They said one of the reasons we can't reach as many households or our target households is because we don't have transportation and we are constantly exhausted. So the bicycle is really key to enable them move around in the community, deliver this very important messaging on health, and provide support to communities. I think another example of things that community health workers do include nutrition, providing the nutrition message, supporting pregnant and lactating mothers, supporting the mothers as through the first 1,000 days of a child's life, providing information on early, infant and early young child feeding. So these are community health workers that really provide significant support to the communities, and the bicycle does make a huge difference. In the case of Kenya, we saw an increase in the frequency of visit by health workers to households and individuals by 88%. So that's a significant jump. Access to a bicycle provides them with that opportunity to do that. But as I mentioned, it's not just the health sector that we're in. We can absolutely work in all the other sectors. And one of the key things I need to add at this point is to say is that there's a huge unmet need. The demand for transportation and mobility is there. In the communities that we work with, we often have to provide bicycles to only a small proportion of the potential participants, potential beneficiaries, because we can only provide as much at this point. So while our target is to reach 1 million bicycles by 2025, we do want to partner with other organizations to deliver the mobility solution, the bicycle. So if you're here and your organization is working in the communities and you want to talk, please come and speak to us right after this session. Let's discuss about use of the bicycles as a mobility solution. So that's for us really important. And I think the last thing that I would also say related to this is that we absolutely believe in the power of bicycles. And for us, we advocate for investments, continued investment in rural mobility and using using the bicycle to reduce rural exclusion. And we cannot achieve the sustainable development goals without sorting out rural exclusion. There's no way we can do that, particularly in rural areas of the global south.
Winnie, I really love your enthusiasm and the enthusiasm of your whole team. It caught me from the first day, as I said before, because basically it would help anybody working in communities and in rural areas. And we all know that we have quite a few of them around. And whereas we always say, do the leapfrog, do all the leapfrogging, why don't you just buy cars already? I think here it becomes very clear that the need is so high. Plus we would need, as I said before, we would need streets and infrastructure and what have you before we can actually start to work in the communities. So the bike here really is the intermediary before we can do all the leapfrogging to make sure that nobody is left behind.
Absolutely, and a very sustainable intermediary at that. So it's cheap, it's affordable to rural communities, something they can easily maintain, and it's sustainable for their own environment. So I completely agree with what you've said. Yeah.
Great, thank you very much. And I remember that Christina, who's like head of the European operations here, or who can help you in Europe, who's also in the room, that she said you still have the bikes from the first day. So you have been delivering bikes for more than 10 years now here, and they're definitely lasting more than 10 years, even though they are hard endurance work.
Absolutely. I mean, the bicycle is, as we mentioned, very robust and highly durable. And for that reason, people really love it. So you can go to some of the most remotest parts of these countries that we're working in, and you will find the Buffalo bicycle. And, we were recently in Malawi to undertake some research on the bicycle market system. And then we asked people when we engaging people in conversation about what are your preferred, what's the kind of bicycle you'd love to have? And in the case of Malawi, we did find people say we want a Buffalo bicycle because it's highly durable and it's high quality and it's reliable. It can carry heavy loads. As you mentioned, 100 kgs, you can carry milk, you can carry tomatoes, you can carry chickens, and that's what you see people do in our communities. So that's a key issue. But I just want to add one more thing. I know we are winding up, and it's about what the bicycle does, besides the individual user who receives the bicycle. It's not just a tool for that person. It's a tool for the household, basically. So if you give even a community health worker, and in the case of GIZ, giving bicycles to the agricultural extension workers and the lead farmers, they will use a bicycle to provide services to the community as is expected, but you often find that they will also use the bicycles to improve their own livelihoods, even though that's not necessarily the original goal of the program. So we've seen this secondary spillover effects of the bicycle from the individual providing service delivery to improving their own livelihoods and improving the income levels of their own households. And we find that, on weekends, you find children using the bicycles to move around the community. We find bicycles being used to transport water from boreholes or from rivers, transport energy and all sorts of things. So it really is not just about the individual who receives the bicycle. It's about the household that bicycle is going into, and it's also about the community and how that community is mobilized as a whole with the power of the bicycle.
Great, thank you very much. Lawrence, I know you're as enthusiastic as Winnie, even though you're our data manager here. But I remember when we spoke before that you got so carried away when you told us about the girls that you were actually speaking to you in the communities and how it improved their life. Is there maybe, I don't know, a little story or something you would like to share? Because really we can't run out of time. We're the last session of the day and we can just carry on till midnight if techniques allow.
Yeah, so it's just amazing, because of course we spend most of the time talking to these girls and observing how they behave in these rural schools. It's just amazing how you see the transformation. You see this young girl getting a bicycle, and this is not just an ordinary bicycle. This is a Buffalo bicycle. And this is a bicycle that communities out there have so much respect for. It's a bicycle that comes with a status. And then you have a young girl gets this bicycle, and now she gets to decide who can have access to this bicycle within their household. And the boys will now come to the girl to ask for rides. So it just makes them more important, and it just transforms their attitude and their their level of confidence. So that's why I should have mentioned it. That's why the study also, when we looked at some of the empowerment measures, we had quite some great results. Improved locus of control, girls more likely to feel that they have control over decisions affecting their lives, self-esteem, self-image. They rated themselves higher academically and also felt that they are more likely to succeed in life, and also bargaining at home. So these are issues that we're able to find, and when we go to the field, are issues that you're able to also observe as you interact with the girls.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you see that's all the stories behind the figures and the stories behind the videos and everything. So if you have time and feel like it, probably not tonight, but tomorrow, the team will be at the stand right on the other hand of the coffee stand, coffee point. So just grab a coffee and come and talk to them and get some more inspiration how mobility can really make a difference in your project. And I always say it's the fast track to reaching the SDGs. So we really have a chance on two wheels here. Yeah, that's all the information for the Global Village. And if you don't make it to Brussels today or tomorrow, they're all happy to be contacted by you to get some more impressions of your project and how mobility can also sort of put you on a fast track on two wheels with whatever you're doing in a rural community, in a rural area, anywhere. Not even on the continent, you're also in Colombia already, so anywhere in the world. Actually, I would also see a couple of areas in Germany need some more mobility, plus training for bicycle maintenance, because by now people don't know how to fix a bike. So it would be good if maybe you can join us as well around Berlin, so we have more cyclists as well. Great. If there are no questions right now from the audience, which I assume not to be the case, as No, it is. It is the case. Yes, please. Then we can quickly have a microphone. I meant to free all of you because it's the end of a very long day. But please, quickly say your name and your questions. We have 1 minute 30 left.
Okay, it's Phil Malone from Access Agriculture. In Bangladesh, they have the auto rickshaws, which used to be very well, they used to have the normal rickshaws, used to be horrible because it was very hard labor. Now they have very, very simple electric motors. Are you considering taking the burden away and introducing cheap electric motors which are appropriate for Africa?
I'm just thinking about the old rickshaws and not the bicycle ones, but the motor ones, the stinky, smelly, I can't breathe anymore. It's a good thing that you're talking about electric ones now. I don't know. Winnie, you have an answer to that?
I think that, the design of a bicycle is something that, is informed by the needs of the end user, the individual. And so with time, we will be informed by what the market, what the demand is for in terms of the needs of this of the individual. But in terms of thinking about, so that's something that I would say in the future could definitely be considered. But there are challenges to the use of electric bicycles, for example, in Africa, and one of the key issues is electricity. And in a lot of these rural communities that we operate in, very few, you might find that 10-15% of the households say they have electricity. So there is an option for solar, but some of them cannot afford it. And so it's a key concern for us, and it makes it difficult. And in addition to that, we also have to think, besides just providing the electrical bicycle, it's also about providing the supporting system for that electrical bicycle, the infrastructure that is needed to maintain that. So these are all challenges that we have to confront with now, but in the future, why not? Yeah. We will, our program team, we have a whole program design team, I'm sure they are considering it. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much to you for the question to the future. I'm sure we're going to arrive there one day, but we're going to be even faster because we have the bikes now. I'm sure about that. Thank you very much for your interest. As I said before, after a long, long day full of inspiring conversations and everything, maybe we can just say hello and goodbye again to Patrick. Patrick, thank you so much for joining us from Zambia. You probably also had a long day of work, or did you join the EDDs virtually for a while?
I just joined in a while, but still had so much to do before I joined. Thanks for the time.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you, and bye-bye to Zambia. And thank you very much to Lawrence and to Winnie and to all of you in the audience, whether it's virtually or here in Brussels. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Judith.
Thank you.
And thank you to our audience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Edith. Quite insightful. And that's a wrap-up for us, ladies and gentlemen. I must say it's been quite a productive day. We've learned different things, you can take a lead, in ways in which Europe is championing infrastructure development that is environmentally sustainable, responsible, and in such a way that, and also together we also explored opportunities, the possibilities, the duty that we all owe to preserve strategic assets like the lithium triangle and the Adrian Westland, and to work for the connection of Europe to Africa, to Europe, from Europe to Asia, Asia to America, to the Americas, through proven concepts like smart corridors. I've been your host. It's been a pleasure. My name is Afolake Onyiloye. The conversation continues online. We'd like to have your feedback by using the hashtag EDD2022. Thank you very much. It's a wrap.